And we're off and underway. Here comes the chase behind. This is a good move now. Lining himself up to the sprint. Is he going to take the stage? Yes, he is.
Hi, welcome to highlights of stage 2 of this year's AJ Bell Tour of Britain. Today, you may have been back to school or back to work, but we're back in the borders and very much back in business. Highlights coming up for you very shortly. But first, let's just reflect on yesterday's first stage of this year's race. A bit of a rude awakening as they rode from Aberdeen up to Glenshee. The sky rather resembled the colour of the Granite City as the riders rolled out of Aberdeen for stage 1 of the 2022 AJ Bell Tour of Britain. Having headed into the country, 5 riders managed to break clear. In the battle for the Skoda King of the Mountains, American Stephen Bassett proved the strongest, with the human-powered health rider taking 14 points on the climbs. In the sprints competition, it was Matthew Teggart of With Sun God who was the fastest man and took the white sports break jersey into stage 2. The 5 would finally be caught on the ride up to Glenshee, with it all coming down to a bunch sprint for the line on the highest road in Britain.
Here comes the sprint for the line. Sheffield now unleashing Omar Fraley. Fraley trying to get past. Fraley, a powerful acceleration, 100 metres to go. Rory Townsend, the Irish national champion, in the mix. But here comes a big lunge from Mike Woods from the Israel Premier Tech team. It's going to be Woods at the line.
It is Corbin Strong.
Corbin Strong, my mistake there.
The 22-year-old from New Zealand taking the biggest win of his career and the overall lead, proving it really was a day for the strongman. Pre-race favourite Tom Pidcock of Ineos Grenadiers 10 seconds down in 5th spot. Once more, joined by Pippa York here on the finish line in Duns. And Pippa, let's just think about yesterday. It was, well, let's be honest, it was pretty grim, the weather yesterday.
It was a brutal day, really challenging, quite nasty actually. So today looks really nice compared with what happened.
It wasn't a nice finish though yesterday. I mean, that drag up to Glenshee was not easy by any stretch.
No, that was a real, you had to decide what was going to happen, you know, where you positioned yourself for that finish.
And commit.
And not commit too early, otherwise, you know, with that much wind, and yeah, you had to time your effort perfectly.
Today is a different parkour, of course, but still around 2,500 metres of climbing as it was yesterday, but it all comes right towards the end.
Yeah, really fast downhill finish into this slightly uphill drag in through Dun, so position is going to be vital in that last 5 minutes or so, and yeah, it's a lot safer than it is than yesterday.
It might be tricky for the breakaway to hoover up those mountain points towards the end of today's stage. Let's hear from some of the riders right now.
Oh, they were a little bit tired. I could feel the race in the leagues from yesterday for sure, but no, I've recovered well and looking forward to giving it another crack today. It's a tricky day actually. There's lots of narrow roads and yeah, there's lots that can happen. I think we just need to be really attentive in the finish. The last 30 odd Ks is actually quite tricky. There's lots of ups and downs and twisty roads. So yeah, we'll do our best to defend and we're confident we have a strong team to do the job today.
Yeah, it looks like maybe today a little bit stiffer climbs and then maybe defensive a little more and then maybe try and get some points as the break comes back. We'll see.
I think it's better for us. The team is super nice and super strong. And yes, I think today the profile is so better for us and try the winner stage.
Yeah, feeling good. Yesterday obviously couldn't have went any better. Perfect start to the race. Nice to have a jersey on my back today, so hopefully can defend it now. I think it's just going to have to be to get in the breaks, get up the road and try and gather as much points as possible. There's a long way to go until stage 8, the Isle of Wight, so I'll not panic if I don't make the break a day or two, but yeah, obviously the team's plans to try and get up the road and take all those points.
Really pleased to say I've been joined here in Duns by former pro Dan Martin. Sounds weird saying former pro, but you announced at last year's race your retirement to me on camera. So what are you doing here this year?
Yeah, here I am dressed as a cyclist still. Yeah, this year I've been invited by the Tour of Britain organisers to ride with guests the last that's 2 hours, 50k every day. So I get to preview the course and yeah, ride with some great people. And yeah, if anybody out there wants to join us, there's still some places available for the rest of the week. Just go to the Sweet Spot website.
Good fun, quite a change. How was it retiring? Because you went on to do Lombardy last year. That was your last race. What was it like finally hanging up the shoes?
Yeah, I'd forgotten that it was this race that I announced last year, and yeah, it was a strange experience, but actually quite. Yeah, I was very, very happy, to be honest. I was doing these downhills, just thinking, yeah, I don't need to do this again, and don't need to suffer anymore. Especially as Lombardia was actually turned out to be one of the hardest races I'd ever done in my career, and just as far as a numbers point of view. And it just showed me that, yeah, I was done with pro cycling. So it made me feel very easy with my decision, and yeah, I'm fortunate to have made quite an easy transition into this life.
Yeah, and won some great races and a great Palmares. When you are out riding, because I know you still train with some of the youngsters, does it show you that, yes, this was the right time to call it a day?
Yeah, I do like to kind of show up every now and again and just, yeah, see if I've still got it with them. But yeah, I actually went, one of the first rides I did last winter was I went out with Tom Pidcock, and he completely dropped me on a downhill, and it made me really think, okay, yeah, that's why I stopped.
Yeah,
I don't need to follow Tom anymore on downhills. So.
No, enough is enough. But let's talk about Tom. Let's talk about the race this year a little bit more, because yesterday's stage, of course, the conditions were pretty horrific, and you rode in it with the guests who are here. What do you make of how Tom showed up? Because he finished 5th in the end, but he sort of dropped off the peloton 10Ks out. It was hard to understand what was going on with him and the Grenadiers.
It's a new experience for Tom. I mean, he's never gone into a stage race like this with all this expectation on his shoulders. Obviously, he goes into mountain bike races, one-day races with that expectation to win. But now, going into a stage race is a different kettle of fish. And also, he's coming out of the mountain bike world. It's going to take some time for his body to adapt. So it was natural that he wouldn't feel great yesterday. Let's see how he bounces back today, because I really think today could be the crucial stage in the race.
Yeah.
And but he's fortunate; he's got an incredibly strong Ineos Grenadiers team. So it will be interesting to see how everybody's going to be looking at Tom. But I mean, they've got very strong riders, perfectly capable of winning the race.
Yeah.
Among him, with him.
Totally. And some more retirees in Richie Port. They'll be looking at you thinking, is this what comes afterwards? They'll be asking you your advice on that. Dan, it's really good to see you. You better go off and get riding with those guests now. Let's have a closer look, though, at today's stage.
Stage 2 sees the racing take place entirely within the Scottish borders. Heading south out of Hawick, the Tour then heads northwest towards the first sprint at Moorbattle. It's then on towards the Coastfire Sprint 2 at Coldstream, and after a brief flirt with the coastline at Eyemouth, the race heads back inland to Reston for Sprint 2. Once again, the peloton will face 3 KOMs in quick succession, with the Cat 3 climbs at One-Side Rig, Mainslaughter Law and Hardens Hall. It's then just a short 6k race to the line on Newton Street in Duns. Hawick is one of the largest border towns and is internationally famous for its fine quality knitwear, as well as producing rugby union legends like Stuart Hogg. The town has a long and colourful history, which can be traced all the way back to the 12th century. Duns is formerly the county town of Berwickshire, with its spacious market square. Duns Castle, whose grounds are now a park and bird sanctuary, was redeveloped in 1820. Rising some 700 feet above sea level, the hill of Duns Law offers commanding views of the Meuse and the rich low-lying farmlands running out from the coast.
Sun's coming out here in downtown Duns, as are the cycling fans. So let's get straight to highlights of the early action with Ned and David.
There is the race leader, Corbin Strong. And a new name to reckon with, David.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that was a big win yesterday.
Off we go then, Israel Premier Tech, as befits the team with the race leader's jersey to look after, all over the front of the peloton. 107 riders, we understand, making their way from Hawick to Duns today. Good sprint yesterday at the top of that climb from Gonzalo Serrano, who's clearly a man on form. And he looked frustrated that he'd been blocked in his final sprint in that incident where he came together a little bit with the Irish national champion from With Sun God, Rory Townsend. The one impeded the other, and it was probably, the feeling was mutual, but Serrano certainly looked as if he had a little bit more in the locker, so he's one to watch out for on the climbs today, clearly going well.
Yeah, it wasn't. Movistar themselves were riding well. We were kind of expecting them to be in a state of misery yesterday, being a predominantly Spanish climbing team. in the Scottish Highlands under the apocalyptic weather, but they excelled when it came to that final climb. They were one of the teams that were up there. And we did see it was the World Tour teams that really did dominate the race yesterday. Perhaps not in the front in the breakaway, but controlling the peloton and then that final climb. So that will have inspired them, and I think going out under the sun today will inspire them even more.
Great to see the sunshine here in Hawick, the home of Tweed, the home also of rugby union legends. This is Borders country. Primary schools out in force there to celebrate the Tour of Britain passing through Hawick. And I think I'm right in saying, talking about rugby union, that Hawick was the home to the late great rugby union commentator Bill McLaren, whose distinctive silky tones were certainly an accompanying sound to my childhood. And there's Stephen Bassett. Very strong ride from him yesterday. He's in conversation with his compatriot there, Magnus Sheffield. Reading the body language of the peloton, they do seem a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more like they're going to enjoy their day's work today than, well, you used the word apocalyptic. Quite appropriately, it really was grim yesterday. Look down at the 107 riders. Looks like Mick Bennett's getting ready. Here we go then, the flag drops right on cue, kilometre 0, the race gets underway, 175.2 kilometres.
Welcome back. As usual, the attack started straight away with Israel Premier Tech keeping a close eye on things. Harry Tanfield finally broke away, and the Ribble well-tight rider was joined by his younger brother Charlie, as well as Matt Teggett in the white sportsbreak.com jersey. 3 others made it a 6-man break, which was allowed to get away by the peloton. Pipers on the roadside provided the musical soundtrack as the gap went out to over 2 minutes. Teggett added to his sprint points total by taking all 3 of the sprints on stage 2 as well, at Moorbattle, Coldstream and finally Reston. As we rejoin the action, the gap is now over 4 minutes, with Israel Premier Tech trying to bring it back together for race leader Corbin Strong. Over to David and Ned.
Oh, this is the breakaway falling to pieces.
Yeah, it is beginning to happen, isn't it? St. Piran rider, Adam Lewis, who's been very conservative up to this point, in the company of the very strong-looking Matthew Teggett, already, even before the official start of the categorised climb, have left the rest. The Tanfield brothers, who've animated that breakaway ever since it got away, are falling away fast, and just 2 riders fairly soon will remain from that breakaway. Now Michał Kwiatkowski, though, really lighting it up on this uncategorised climb with Omar Fraile on his wheel as the Ineos Grenadiers start to really take it up, and there's an attack now from Trinity Racing on this climb, really putting the pressure on. So the dynamic race that we were hoping for on this last series of categorised climbs, David, even before they start, it's starting to happen. And at the front of the race, just a few moments ago, look at that, the Tanfield brothers out of the saddle and struggling as 2 riders ride clear. Adam Lewis from St. Piran and Matthew Teggett in the white jersey from With Sun God, trying to hold on to an advantage that could yield the Mountains jersey for him. So those 2 riders the strongest in the breakaway, and this was the moment that Trinity Racing's, I think it's Matthew Gloag, attacked from the pace being set by Michał Kwiatkowski and Omar Fraile.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Ineos Grenadiers came into this hot. They really did take over the race, but Kwiatkowski can't do anything to Gloag's move. Kwiatkowski, Amador set it up, rode them in hard into the bottom. Kwiatkowski then attacked hard. Gloag came over the top, and you could see Kwiatkowski's face. He couldn't do anything about it.
Gloag was on the attack on the finish to the Glen Shee Ski Centre yesterday, albeit a short-lived attack, but clearly a rider who's straining at the bit to express himself on these climbs. The young rider who's moving from Trinity Racing to Jumbo-Visma. Richie Port now on the front. Kwiatkowski, is he still there? I'm not sure he is. So it looks like it's just Sheffield, Port and Tom Pidcock, and Omar Fraile, of course, in the blue points jersey.
Richie Port already, so they're putting their big guns out early on. Not sure Kwiatkowski slotted back in there, I couldn't see him, or whether he slid back down through the peloton. But that does mean that they're firing bullets, they're burning through matches very quickly, Ineos Grenadiers.
And it's still a big bunch, but they haven't, don't forget, got onto this climb. The early kilometres, as you can see, not particularly severe on this climb, but the closer they get to the top, the steeper it gets.
Yeah, you can see all the groups now dropping off the back, but as you say, that peloton is still significant. There's a slight tailwind here, but it's now starting. This is what they needed to do. If you want to make this race hard, you have to go early. There are those 2 riders just ahead, so they're closing in on them now quickly. Tegat still can make it to the top, and that's going to be his goal.
Well, they're hunting them down fast, aren't they? It's a long climb, this. It's a 3.5 kilometre climb. They don't get to the top until 24 kilometres to go, so they've still got over 2.5 kilometres to hang on here. That's a moot point. It's right in the balance as to whether or not they're going to make it. Chances are, I don't think they are. And Tegat, is he losing contact there a little bit? No, he's coming round. Quite the opposite, actually. Moves on to the front.
Adam Lewis is looking great from St. Piran there. He's looking very much the match for Tegat currently.
Yeah, he is. Looks totally in control, the 19-year-old youngster. Spent his formative years. Well, I mean, 19, you can hardly talk about his formative years. They're happening right now. But he's already got experience of racing in the continent at an amateur level in France. So one of those long lineage of British cyclists who sort out their fortunes over in France. Joining St. Piran to get his opportunity to ride specifically in this race. By far the biggest shop window.
He looks great on a bike. This is the first time I've seen him race, and he's got a wonderful style.
Very slender build, isn't he? Looks like a climber. Tegat, much more dynamic, got a furious kick on him. Very strong all-rounder, as he's proven time and time again throughout the racing calendar of 2022 from a prestigious Northern Irish cycling family. As the Uno X team now match the Ineos Grenadiers on the left-hand side of the road.
Yeah, so Kwiatkowski's gone. So that's surprising. Kwiatkowski couldn't do much.
Well, Matthew Gloag attacked. He was put into difficulty almost instantly, wasn't he, Michał Kwiatkowski?
Oh, yeah, he was grimacing. And then, yeah, that's a bit surprising. So he would have been one of the riders we'd have expected to go much further. So they're now reliant on Richie Porte. And this is where, on the road, they have to make decisions. Because the three riders behind Richie Porte are all effectively leaders at this race. Now, I think they might be making a decision. If Pidcock's decided, then they might be all at Pidcock's disposal.
Oh, this is agonising to watch. Are they going to make it to the top? Adam Lewis flicks an elbow. Tegat is still there and will work with him, but the gap is shrinking all the time. As Uno X and the Ineos Grenadiers match one another, the Great Britain team moving up in the middle, and another good showing from Jan Oscar Onley, just the 19-year-old from Kelso, the only DSM journey towards the front. In that black jersey. Absolutely love that about this race, David, that these hitherto literally unknown riders like Adam Lewis and Oscar Onley suddenly become names, and indeed the race leader himself, Corbin Strong, suddenly become names that you really take notice of.
But I think that's a rite of passage in every professional cyclist career. It's not the Tour de France you make your name. It's at the races as you build up through the calendar, through the hierarchy. And this is the opportunity to make your name, and this is where often it starts.
700 metres or thereabouts still to go on this climb, the steepest section of the climb still to go. They should be all right. They've still got 16 seconds. Excuse me. The climb to one side rig to go. There's 4 points on offer. Matthew Tegat will hope, I think, to take them. Be very interested to see whether Adam Lewis hands him those points. They've actually got a kilometre to go still to the top.
Yeah, look how fluid Adam Lewis looks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's going to be any gifts at the top, but the bottom line is I think Adam Lewis isn't necessarily interested in those, whereas Tegat seriously is.
Yep.
No, he can't go round, so he's flicking, he's asking Adam Lewis, but Tegat always checking, he'll look behind, probably just check, he'll want to sit on the wheel. He's only interested in those mountain points now. He's asking the radio something.
Now, incidentally, watch out for Stephen Bassett. Yeah, there we go. Is that the green jersey?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's coming up.
So Stephen Bassett in the green jersey, the king of the mountains. There he is. He senses an opportunity here. There are points available for third place, but there's a possibility that Bassett, with those fresh legs, is going to roar across to these two and jump them at the line. Watch out for that green jersey. It is incoming. Here he is. Where is he? Yeah, he's coming in fast. A great ride. Very smart from Stephen Bassett, but the race has just fallen into his lap here.
Yeah, so what does Tegat do now? He's just got to sit on Bassett's wheel and hope that he's got something left. But we saw how strong Bassett was on these hilltops yesterday. And the fact he's there now, I'd say Tegat, it's a huge challenge for him to get by him.
Bassett just biding his time to pick them off, you suspect. Went very deep. particularly on the third climb yesterday, battling Jake Scott for King of the Mountains points. I wouldn't rule out Matthew Teggett.
Peloton's still coming in, though. It's like now Bassett's going to have to make a decision. There you go. It's like Teggett who goes first.
Attacking, Bassett matching him. Almost coming to blows there. One against the other. Teggett tenaciously holding on, but Bassett, as you'd expect, having been sitting on the wheels. Nevertheless, Teggett will ride on for King of the Mountains points, and he's coming back, Matthew Teggett. Bassett, has he gone too early there, gritting his teeth? What a duel this is. Teggett now alongside him, and Teggett brilliantly takes Bassett on the line, and he's going to pick up 4 points. Bassett, of course, will ride on to make it 3, and he'll defend the jersey on the day. But what a show of strength that was from Matthew Teggett, who has been out there all day today for the 2nd day in a row.
What a ride. He did that perfectly. He didn't wait for Bassett. He just called his bluff and then used him to his advantage.
Adam Lewis crosses the line in 3rd place to pick up 2 points, and here comes the bunch being headed by the Ineos Grenadiers.
Well, Teggett cut that close.
This is the result of the first climb of the day. Matthew Teggett taking 4 points brilliantly ahead of Stephen Bassett, who attacked from the peloton. Adam Lewis in 3rd place, and then Richie Porte crossing the line and the front of the peloton. And that is the summit of the climb, the penultimate climb. It's very steep just in the last couple of 100 metres, almost like a wall. 500 metres to go. Richie Porte just a double flick of the elbows to indicate that he's about to get out of the saddle. And maybe this is the moment where Porte can make the difference.
I'm not sure. It just doesn't seem to be. It's not stringing out. There's no gaps are opening at the front. It's there's an attrition at the back, obviously, but at the front there's little happening. Riders desperately trying to get up. I don't know if they're about to hit a technical descent.
Jake Scott, he's going for King of the Mountains points here. Jake Scott moving to the front. Yeah, he just checks with Richie Porte that Porte knows exactly what he's about. And Jake Scott, who is competing for King of the Mountains point, the defending King of the Mountains jersey winner from last year, is off the front and picks up a very, very smart and strong 4 points to add to his tally.
Tell you what, Glogue is looking very good from Trinity Racing. Just darted to the front there as well, just sitting on just next to Richie Porte on the wheel there. Richie Porte, I think, just asking what do we do next?
Jake Scott, by picking up those 4 points, he's on 15 now, just 2 points off the jersey.
Yeah, no, they're slowing down. There's no need for him to be setting that pace. This is what they need to do. They need to, the attacks need to start to happen again.
It's got to be the best part of, 45, 50 riders in that bunch?
Yeah, so he's whittled it down, put everyone under some stress at least, if not broken it up too much. But this is the moment where it wouldn't be a bad idea if you had a number 2, number 3 rider to launch off the front. Sheffield having a great time.
He is.
He's just constantly smiling.
Well, 16.2 kilometres remain. The final climb of Hardens Hill starts with 7.5 kilometres to go, and it's 1.5 kilometres in length. That's Richie Porte.
They just all have a great time.
Just enjoying the bike ride.
Yeah. It does look like that, doesn't it?
Matt Glogue is there as well from the Trinity
There,
Racing
yeah.
team, and it's Davide Gaboro, the rider we were just talking about. Gaboro, tailor-made for a circuit like this, a race finish like this, the Italian now. He's a dangerous rider, Gaboro, and this distance will not faze him one little bit. He loves this kind of terrain. Multiple high-placed finishes in his best ever Giro d'Italia this year. Notably, I think it was a 2nd place to Thomas de Gent on a final circuit race finish in Genoa, but that was one of about half a dozen presences in breakaways. And Davide Gaboro is not only experienced, but he's probably having his best racing year.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can see he doesn't look like, he's more like a Grand Tour climber than a rider for this sort of terrain. But yeah, he is a rider you don't want to give a big gap to, because he can just go and go.
Magnus Sheffield, by the looks of it, has got on the front.
Yeah, and this is what they need to do, and it's but he's again, it's just kind of winding it up rather than attacking. No, that's
This is Jake Scott.
Jake Scott again, yeah.
He's so strong, Jake Scott. So Gaboro with a small advantage on this rolling terrain. Looks around, checks to see what happened. And certainly his attack has provoked a change in the way that that bunch is being driven on now. Magnus Sheffield hits the front. Great racing roads these, they really are. But still, there are a lot of potential winners in this group. Could be a chaotic sprint if this group isn't whittled down still further on the final uncategorised and categorised climbs to come. The last categorised climb is a little while ago to go still. That's 7 or 8 kilometres till the last categorised climb. 15k from the finish. Davide Gaboro from Bardiani CSF. Having attacked is just a few seconds off the front, and he's a dangerous rider. He's not an unknown rider at all. He's a proven Grand Tour breakaway specialist, and they'll have to keep a close eye on him. Looks like the Great Britain team have committed a rider to the chase.
Yeah, everyone being so cautious. It's almost as if Richie Portnoy dropped back to the rear of the peloton there. But yeah, everyone just does seem to be waiting for this final climb. Nobody wants to reveal themselves, but if you see a rider like this go, it's an opportunity. But the thing is, with the narrow road, I think the riders at the front are happy to block. There's probably a few riders behind there, agitated, wanting to go, but you just can't get through, and you can't go on the edge there. You can see the stones, you risk puncturing. So I think there's a bit of blocking going on at the front.
Keeps looking round. Do you detect a certain hesitancy here, David? He's not quite as if he wanted a couple of riders to come with him, ideally, and he's almost unwilling to commit solo, but that's a bit of a gap now that he's stolen.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably just quite surprised that no one's gone with him. It's kind of less than 14 Ks from the finish, and he's now got a significant gap. And
I think he's beginning to really commit to this move now. He's got himself, and on roads like this, pretty soon he'll be out of sight.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, I think, this narrow road, as I said, it just means that those riders at the front, if they're not reacting now, they're not going to react, and they're all looking at each other, waiting for one of them to go. So it'll be interesting to see. And it's like it's slowing down. This is working out perfect.
So there's a lot at stake here for Davide Gaboro. This would be one of his biggest victories in his career. Most notable moments. It's nothing like a done deal yet. There's still a long way to go, and this climb to come. But it is just the perfect rider on the perfect terrain, in the perfect race situation.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a great ride. It's and he was the only one courageous to go, which was the key moment to do it. And I'm gobsmacked that nobody went with him.
Actually, one of those riders who's been around for so long, and it's surprising to know that he hasn't actually taken a professional win. So far from being one of the biggest moments in his career, this would be the crowning achievement of his substantially long career. He's not a spring chicken, Davide Gaboro. He's very experienced, but this is a huge opportunity for him.
Yeah, and it's the type of race where he can excel himself and perhaps get that monkey off his back, as we saw a younger example with Corbin Strong yesterday. But I think often it's when you have nothing to lose, then you go for it, and that's what he's doing here. Because so many riders in that group at the top, they were laughing at the front of the peloton, they were doing their things when it was actually the perfect moment to attack.
1 kilometre to go until the foot of Hardens Hill, and as you say, David, that might be effectively his finish line, the top of that climb. We've got a counter-attack now coming in the colours of St. Piran.
Well, look at that. I mean, this is what's happening. People are scared to attack, and these other riders are taking that opportunity. They're seeing the World Tour riders at the front not doing anything. This is when you have to go.
We've got Alexander Richardson on the front, who finished in 3rd place in the British National Road Race Championship. He's driving on his young teammate, Jack Rootskin-Gray, and fair play to them for just taking that opportunity, as the pace clearly is just stalling at the front. 31 seconds we're hearing between the peloton, and the chasers are at 20 seconds.
So that's actually the worst thing that goes. 2 riders go down there. There you go. There's a Trinity racer. Not sure who it was, but
Matthew Gloag, we think it was their main man, Matt Gloag. You can see a couple of riders there at the back looking round. But tell you what, this is a potentially extraordinary moment for Jack Rootskin-Gray, the young rider. He's only 19 years of age, sitting on the wheel of the very, very powerful Alexander Richardson. His father, Jack Rootskin-Gray, is Hugh, and he is the race doctor at the Tour of Britain. He's actually on the race, and he'll be watching these television pictures, willing his young son on here.
sure, very relaxed and calm in the car as well.
Absolutely.
So it looks like Israel Premier Tech are on the front again. So they've taken this on. But those two riders going could be the nail in the coffin for Gaburo, because now that will motivate.
That's Oscar Onley, who was that rider who was down as well. So Oscar Onley in the convoy of cars. That's such a shame for the man from Kelso. He was sitting very well placed in the peloton, albeit a peloton that is losing the battle against Davide Gaburo just now. But that counter-attack from the two riders from St. Piran is fascinating, David. Alexander Richardson, oh, well, they're going to be caught, aren't they, by the bunch. But Alexander Richardson won the Rydale, which is one of the most important races on the British calendar, and he won it when the two of them, including Jack Rootkin Gray, went away together.
It's a
so
great
they're
move.
used to that. They're used to riding as a two-up attack, and they've still got a little bit of an advantage off the front of the bunch.
It's a really good move. If you've got a wingman like that, if one of you is going to sacrifice yourself for the other, because that's what you have to do. Rotating at this, you need one rider who's strong enough, who's going to sacrifice themselves, give everything they can, try and close the gap, then the other one's got to go. And that looks like what they're doing.
Alexander Richardson is doing the sacrificing,
Nice.
but he's riding away from his young teammate there. Pretty sure that's Alexander Richardson who's dropped Jack Rootkin Gray.
Well,
yeah, just looking around to check.
Well, Alexander Richardson.
Or is that the case? Not sure, actually. I think Richardson might have dropped away. It's difficult to see from that altitude. Yeah, that's Rootkin Gray. So Rootkin Gray is ploughing on and going off in pursuit of Davide Gaburo.
Great ride. Well, St. Piran are having a great day today.
So that is an exact reversal of the way that they finished first and second in the
it's Richie Port back on the front.
Rydale.
So Richie Port made it back up, and now he is just emptying the tank.
Is it too little, too late? Davide Gaburo has got a few hundred metres to hold on, and gets over the top of Hardens Hill, and then it's a descent all the way to the finish line in Duns, pretty much.
Yeah, Richie Port is now going to just go into full Richie Port mode. And this is it. His finish line as well is the top of that climb.
Where is Gaburo? They are reeling him back in. Where's the finish line? That's critical. Gaburo, though, still holding it together, but Richie Port, one of the best climbers in the world and has been for the best part of a decade, is hunting him down.
And again, this is playing perfectly into the hands of Israel Premier Tech.
Yep.
They're just basically handing the jersey to Corbin Strong today.
That said, they haven't got to Davide Gaburo yet. He's still got an 18-second advantage, and an Italian flag, as if from nowhere, appears at the side of the road. But Gaburo is being reeled in, and that road, as it unwinds, is working against him now. He looks to try and spot the top.
And that wind, look at the headwinds. So that's why that peloton is still together. If you're on the wheel, then you're going to be safe, even on this gradient. But for Gaburo, that headwind is a nightmare, because he's got to go and take it to the top, but Richie Port, he is just chasing that. Israel startup riders just pulled off the wheel, so Richie Port really is driving. So when we start to see gaps opening at the front, that means the pace is now hurting people.
He's one of the GB riders actually just dropped away, but Corbin Strong in the red jersey is sitting there in third place, looking very, very composed.
So Pidcock in about sixth position, then Magnus Sheffield just moving back up, because Ineos Grenadiers is a bit scattered there, although Richie Port, so there, Magnus Sheffield's got back on Tom Pidcock's wheel.
It's not going to work, I don't think, for Davide Gaburo today, because Richie Port is very nearly on the Italian. What a brave ride from the man from Bardiani CSF, but Port has nullified the Italian's attack. He's going to have to wait for another day. The 29-year-old Italian to taste victory for the first time as a professional. Port brings him back. Woods on his wheel, Corbin Strong. Then comes Mason Holliman, I think, and then Omar Fraile and Tom Pidcock with Magnus Sheffield.
Corbin Strong, he's surrounded by Dylan Toynes and Mike Woods. He's still got his two super domestiques who haven't done one turn on the front.
Dylan Toynes, you're right, is still there. Two riders from Movistar as well, Magnus Sheffield, Felix Großschartner. Niels Pollitt has somehow managed to get back in and moving up the German national champion onto the wheel of Tom Pidcock in around about 8th place. Filippo Zana as well, just bumping with one of the riders from the Great Britain team further back down the line.
Pollitt's made it back. Pollitt's back there, wow.
Yeah. Jake Scott is still there, for heaven's sake, and Jake Scott will try and dart out. Watch out for the rider in the blue, there he is. Jake Scott once again asks permission from Richie Port just to go off the front, and Jake Scott with this ride will take the Mountains jersey on the day as Niels Pollitt goes on the offensive over the climb. This is for the stage, though, from Niels Pollitt.
Great move from Niels Pollitt. And this is what needs to happen. We need to see violent attacks like this, not riding on the front.
Chris Hamilton on his wheel, the Australian. That's Mike Woods going with him and Omar Fraile. Now, where's the red jersey of Corbin Strong? Just drifting around in around about 7th place.
He's still fine.
Yep.
He's there. He's got his teammates, he's got Dylan Toynes on his wheel, just covering him. And Mike Woods in front. So he's still absolutely fine, Corbin Strong.
Yeah, he is. That's not Chris Hamilton. That might well be Onley, actually. So Niels Pollitt then just relents, and it opens up the door for Dylan Toynes, who attacks. 5 kilometres to go. Dylan Toynes, the Israel Premier Tech new star signing, now shows us what he's all about with a violent acceleration over the top on the descent to Duns. They look round. Matteo Jorgensen takes the responsibility from Movistar, at least temporarily, but it stalls the chase, and Toynes opens up a small advantage.
Magnus Sheffield has to go now. There's no thinking. Just close that gap. Now look at it. It's pulled that group away. Corbin Strong is not there. So that attack from Dylan Toynes could take the stage, but it's also drops the red jersey.
Dylan Toynes now 3.6 kilometres from the finish line. Magnus Sheffield opening up a small advantage on the road over Felix Großschartner. Sheffield coming in fast, but Toynes still just off the front.
Yeah, look at this, Movistar rider. I'm not sure who that is.
I think it's Serrano, who was right up there in the mix in 4th place yesterday.
There you go. Magnus Sheffield now realises what he has to do. He's got to gap. Oh, on the edge.
Oh.
So Magnus Sheffield, he's coming back strong, Magnus Sheffield.
Toynes now, caught by Sheffield. Serrano, I think it is, from Movistar, closing the gap to him. Magnus Sheffield in a really good position here. The man who nearly won the Tour of Denmark and was just pipped by bonus seconds by Christophe Laporte a couple of weeks ago. Inside 3 kilometres. Sheffield still battling to get across to Dylan Toynes.
Oh, this is it now. It looks like this group is all going to come back together, but Magnus Sheffield, he's going so fast down this descent just on aerodynamics. Everyone else is pedalling, and Magnus Sheffield is just tucked up.
Serrano now flicks an elbow. Watches the rider on his wheel to see what reaction he gets there.
So this is it, these two, but they can see how close that group is now. Now they've got to make the call. Magnus Sheffield, who is quick. It's a decision to be made now, and it is. I think he's made the decision, wait for the group. That has not worked.
Jake Stewart has got really good support in the shape of Sam Watson from the Great Britain team. Those 2 riders are still there. Kenneth van Rooij it was from the Sport Flandre and Baloise team. At least 2 or 3 riders, including Anders Skarset from the Uno X team. Niels Pollitt is still there. But look at those Great Britain riders just moving up on the train of 4 DSM riders.
Yeah, Corbin Strong there, Pidcock there. We've got a lot of... Is Sacha Modelo there? That's the question. He's the fastest of this group if it does get to the line. But yeah, Jake Stewart, the GB riders riding very disciplined, the 2 of them together. They know what they have to do now. They have to be patient and just hedge their bets. Omar Fraile moving up on the right there in the blue jersey.
Kees Bol is there on 3rd wheel, the Dutch sprinter. How he's managed to survive those climbs, Lord alone knows, because the big man is there and he's got the massive support of his team. There he is, Kees Bol, tucked in 3rd wheel. He's got a rider on his wheel as well. Onley, I think, looking after him.
Now that's a whole other problem, because Kees Bol really is the fastest of this group.
Yep.
He is a pure bunch sprinter.
1.3 kilometres to go, and DSM, to give them massive credit, there's another rider trying to get back to the front of the race to support him as well. Chris Hamilton is going to work as a lead-out man for Kees Bol.
Yeah, look at this. They've managed to... I don't know where this planned, but if it was, it's genius. They've got almost... Well, they've got 4 riders there, 1 trying to get up there. It's Tom Pidcock now moving up. But yeah, Kees Bol now, that's just going to nullify the race. And DSM, they have a full lead out at their disposition.
Watch out for the red jersey there of Corbin Strong. He's still there. They're beginning to work through their men. It's Chris Hamilton who moves on to the front as a Sport Flandre and Baloise rider. Hits the front, but Kees Bol still in a beautiful place there, stuck on 3rd wheel on Chris Hamilton's wheel. When he opens up his sprint, it might just be unanswerable. On his wheel then, Marius Meyerhofer, then comes Omar Fraile. Tom Pidcock has moved up into around about 7th place. Well into the final kilometre now. Fraile looks round, sees only the red jersey of Corbin Strong, and on Strong's wheel, Tom Pidcock is lurking around there. But Kees Bol, still with this armchair ride. The Sport Flandre and Baloise rider is playing into the hands of Kees Bol as an Uno X rider on the left-hand side of the road tries to launch a long-range attack. Now it's Chris Hamilton.
Yeah, look, GB riders going. So this is them going, but look at this. There's Case Ball still sitting well. He's using the GB team as advantage. One of the Trinity Racing riders is there.
Jake Stewart, and he's got one of the Trinities, Luke Lamperty, I think, with Corbin Strong, but still Case Ball using Jake Stewart's wheel as they come towards the finish line. Now it's Jake Stewart and Case Ball. Stewart, though. Stewart hanging on with Case Ball finishing fast. Stewart gets there. I think it's very close on the line. They look one to the other, and they still don't know. Neither rider putting their hand in the air. Corbin Strong finishing well in third place. That was very, very tight indeed. They don't know, we don't know. Photo finish.
Oh, that was so close. What a ride from those two GB riders. They did that perfectly. And Jake Stewart, I think he might have got it. Slow.
50 metres to go. Case Ball is finishing the fastest, but their line comes. Stewart's surely got there.
Oh, I don't know. That lunge.
You're not sure?
I'm not sure.
Well, his lead-out man was Sam Watson, who's almost celebrating victory here. Here's the line coming again.
Case Ball, and Case Ball got it just. I don't know. No, they don't know.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. There's the lunge from Ball.
It's Ball. It's Ball got it with a lunge. Oh, that was a lunge to perfection. God, what a great sprint from Jake Stewart, though.
So, Case Ball of Team DSM given the win over Jake Stewart by the narrowest of margins, with race leader Corbin Strong in third place. The Dutchman taken to the podium in Duns after winning by no more than a tyre's width. The reward for the GB rider was a move up to second in the general classification, with Tom Pidcock still in fifth and still nicely poised. Israel Premier Tech's New Zealander still in the AJ Bell race leader's red jersey. And the Dodal points jersey after another strong showing in the borders.
I can't thank my team enough. The boys rode out of their skins today. Every one of them were just, I think, executed the team plan perfectly. And yeah, I was happy to sprint for third today. Yeah, it would have been nice to really sprint for the win, but third was the best I could do today. And yeah, like I said, I can't thank the team and the staff enough. They did everything perfect today, and yeah, another good day for the team here in Britain.
There was a change in the Skoda King of the Mountains, with defending champion Jake Scott taking over after clever riding on stage 2. And teammate Matthew Teggart of With Sun God collecting maximum points in the sportsbreaks.com sprints competition.
Pippa and I have been joined by Matt Teggart of With Sun God, and Matt having a couple of fantastic days. Still got the sportsbreaks.com sprint jersey on your shoulders. Hard day, easy day, how did it feel?
Yeah, another hard day. Obviously delighted to come away with maximum points again today, 2 from 2. So really pleased with that. I suppose it's always a bit of a harder day up the road in the break, but you don't have the stresses and the carnage of the peloton, and it's usually a bit safer. So yeah, it's a wee bit harder, but it comes with its benefits as well.
And when you were in the front group, had you talked with the other riders to say that you were going to take the points on those places, or had you made any kind of agreement?
No, not really. I think possibly in the latter stages of the race, in stages like 5, 6, 7, towards the end of the race, that might be the case. But early on, because I don't have much of a lead, then it's sort of open. So when I seen the two Tomfield brothers there, especially, I knew it was going to be a hard battle, yeah. And it was.
They're pretty strong. Harry can certainly churn a big gear. One more point I'd like to make was when the first categorised climb was coming, you were heading up there to take the points for yourself, perhaps protect it for your teammate Jacob Scott, but Bassett shot out of the bunch to try and take them for himself. Of course, he had the jersey on his shoulders. Tell us what happened next.
Yeah, obviously, I had Tim, our manager, in the radio, in the earpiece, telling me, if you can, try and hang on to take the points for Jake, obviously, later down the road. And then, yeah, me and Adam Lewis, I think, he was riding well towards the end, and we were just about hanging on, and then, yeah, the guy in the KOM jersey shot out of the break, but he didn't initially come straight past us, and I knew there was only like 400 metres to go or so, and I knew when he didn't come around us, he maybe didn't have it, so I thought I would try him, and yeah, thankfully, I just had slightly better legs and was able to take it, but I went pretty deep for that one.
It didn't look like it. You made it look very easy. You made the past couple of days look very easy indeed. Let's have a look at tomorrow's route map now to see if you can do it for the third day on the run.
Stage 3 sees the AJ Bell Tour of Britain enter England for the first time this year. The route heads westward, taking the peloton through the first sprint at Stanhope, before heading up and over the first Cat 1 climb of the Tour at Chapel Fell. After a short period of rest, the Tour heads back east over the Cat 2 climb at Billy Lane, followed by sprints 2 and 3 at Bishop Auckland and Ferry Hill. With just 20 kilometres to run, the Cat 3 climb at High Moorsley will see the peloton positioning themselves for the run into the finish in Sunderland.
Matt, what's the plan for tomorrow? Get in the break again, hoover up all those points just like you have done the past 2 days?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll sit down tonight, have a chat, and see exactly what the plan is. Obviously, the more breakaways I can get in, the more points, then the better. See if I can wrap the jersey up pretty early in the first few stages, and then I can relax towards the latter stages.
Just have an easy weekend as we get to the Isle of Wight. Just take it easy, just chill, enjoy the view. Matt, thank you very much indeed. Pippa, thanks to you as well. Been a brilliant day's racing here in the Scottish Borders. Tomorrow we are in England for the start in Durham and the finish in Sunderland. Join us then if you can. Bye for now.